good morning. We are at our next project. You can see I got the 12 and the 2150 with me. And we're actually at the local Humane Society here. I got a little project to do on, we're gonna kind of tear out and redo the courtyard area inside. They're gonna put a new, thing like a dog run, a pavilion inside this area. So they're kind of running out of space. So we got some small trees to clear, some hills to cut out, some sidewalks to remove. And then haul in some clay to build a 36 by 40 pad, and then probably some dirt and some base rock for some temporary sidewalks. But first thing I want to do is fix the parking lot with all of these potholes that they have. So this isn't anything they actually asked about, but when I got here, there's going to be a lot of truck traffic through here, and then this is where all the employees pull through and park. So as you can see, it is in rough shape. So I'm going to do my best to show everyone at least how I repair potholes, or what I feel like is the right way and stuff. So you basically need to cut the holes out, is what I like to tell everybody. You basically need to cut the bottom of it out, get everything kind of loosened up, and then what I kind of try to explain to people is you're kind of grafting or kind of blending in, you know, new rock with the old rock and stuff like that. So if you just try to put rock in there right now, it's kind of almost like a ceramic bowl, and you just dump oatmeal in there. That part will pop back out. So you really need to almost kind of graft the new rock, or even dig some of this rock back out and put back in there, if that makes any sense. I'll kind of go over that. A lot of guys use a Harley rake, which I'm not saying you can't, but I just always use a tooth bucket for everything. To me, it looks like it's a little harder on the Harley rake than what it needs to be. And I know a lot of them try to do it where you got to save. You don't have to bring any rock in or anything like that. I got a load of rock coming because this thing desperately needs a little bit of rock. There's not enough here to reuse. There'll be some, but not enough to make it look good. So let's just jump in the machine since it's getting busy and get started. I basically just take the teeth, and normally I'm in the loader. So it's not like you have to have a 37,000 pound excavator to do this. You can do it with just a loader or skid steer, like a tooth bucket. But I've got it here for the rest of the project, so I'm going to use it. So it'll just be quicker, and Brian's on his way with the load of rock. But you just want to kind of come in here and cut this area out, and then loosen up the bottom, and then you can kind of take the old rock and even some of the new rock and mix together, track it back in. And that should kind of graft everything back together, if that makes a little more sense. So, but that's how I've always cut them out. Some of these will probably come back because of where they're at and how people drive through here and turn and park and everything else. But it'll take a lot longer cutting it out and doing it this way than just trying to fill them in. You got a much better chance of them actually staying gone. But I know this place relies a lot on donations and different things like that. It's not like the Humane Society's always got a ton of money just to spend on parking lot maintenance, and this is where all the employees park. So I've worked out here a little bit before, and usually I've dressed this up, but it's probably been 8 or 9 years ago. So yeah. And with this, I can really loosen it up. Man, I don't want to complain, but the heaters in these things are amazing. it's a little warm, so. But I just figured first thing, I need to go in there and, for one, show you guys what we got going on. And then there's some brick walkways where people have, had their names or names of family members that have passed and stuff like that engraved on them. So I need to go there and pick those up by hand, stack them on some pallets, because they're gonna repurpose those in another spot. I don't want to take a chance of breaking or ripping up bricks that somebody's paid for, or has a family member's name on it or anything. So I need to pick those up. There's a couple statues and some bigger rocks in there. I think we got to figure out where those are going to go, but I'm going to have several loads of stuff to haul out, so I thought this would be a good time to redo this, and we can kind of use the trucks to help pack it all back in a little bit better, just make it a nicer driving area for everyone that comes through here. So we will just cut these out, and then I'll jump in the loader real quick, kind of slick it all back up. Brian should be here, and we'll do this, and then I'll take you guys in the courtyard and show you what we got to go and what we got going on in there. I forgot, it's kind of a busy place sometimes. But we'll kind of level up a little bit what's here, and then like I said, I'll mix the new in when it shows up to top everything off. But yeah, now that they're all cut out, we'll basically just dress it all back up, track it down. We'll pretty much have this whole section redone by the time it's all said and done. I loosened up a lot more than I needed to with the 2150, but we will make it work. But this rock's actually in good enough shape. It's thick enough. I was worried there's just going to be like 2 inches of rock and then dirt and stuff in the bottom of it, but actually not bad stuff. It's a little bit on the wet side, but we can still make that work. Dumping the rock just right back in there a little bit on the thick side, but it's got enough moisture in it. This will work once I track it in and the trucks run over it. So, like I said, normally there's not this much rock on these lots, so this will actually work out even better. And then when I run the dump trucks in and out, they'll really pack it down. asked too if I use the float feature in these machines, and I never do. I didn't only know how to run the float in this machine. I know you gotta, I think you hit the button, have to move the stick forward or something, but everything I do is by feel and eyesight, so I've just learned that way and stuck with it. I mean, I guess you can use the float if it's easier for you to level a spot out. I think on this one I press the left button on the right stick and then push the stick forward. And for those that don't know what the float means, is that the arms will actually, they float independently from the tracks. I'll try to run by and see if you can see it on camera. I think you should be able to see the arms moving up and down as the machine's traveling too. So, like I said, you can use that if you need to. I never have. I learned how to do it without the float feature. Just kind of stuck with that. But I've also been running skid steers and loaders for about 28 years, so it just kind of comes with seat time, I guess. And when I started out, I don't even know if they had a float option. It was an old, I think it was a 753 Bobcat, I believe was the number on it. With Takeuchi and the pilot controls, they're so responsive and quick that I don't ever find myself needing it. So now with the 11 being EH controls, maybe a little bit different story on fine-tuning stuff, because it won't be as quick as what the normal pilot controls are. So I didn't have a chance to do a lot of rock work whenever I had that 11 here to see, but I'm sure it's like anything. Once you get used to the machine and the controls, you're comfortable with it, it'll be just fine. But for me, it'll be a little tougher with the EH controls and the float, I would say, just because I'm not used to it. I should have this close enough when Brian's guys get here, just to probably let them tailgate it out of the truck or shotgun it out, and I can level it from there.